goes without saying that most of us, after many years, are really just waiting for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 to come out. In the meantime, the Worlds of Darkness haven't been ticking along quietly, as the long-running tabletop RPG franchise has continued to invest in the video game spectrum, with titles branching off into different genres. Into this atmosphere comes developer Big Bad Wolf's Vampire the Masquerade Swansong, tackling a genre for the franchise that fits it to a T. Swansong is a narrative-driven RPG, a detective game with puzzle-solving aspects that focuses squarely on the story and its characters. If you've played the Life is Strange games or Sherlock Holmes titles, you'll have a better understanding of what you're in for with Swansong. Action is squarely rooted in the art of word-slinging or cutscenes, as the game is all about your choices and the consequences thereof. Set in 2019, a code red has been issued in Boston. There seems to have been some trouble at a highly important party that can determine the fate of Boston and its vampire clans, and now the Prince of Boston wants answers, and it's your job to get them. Well, the job of 3 vampires, that is. Swansong throws you into the fangs of 3 different vampires from 3 different clans, each of whom will be taking different routes through the game. Original creations for the game, the vampires have their own histories, likes, dislikes, and political footholds in the Boston court. Not only do you have to find out why the Code Red was initiated, you also have to do it while playing through the political machinations of vampire society. Whether or not you'll be able to get into Swansong will be determined by how much dialogue you're willing to sit through, because that constitutes the bulk of Swansong's gameplay. Speaking to everyone that you can, learning about them, the world, and interrogating them for clues is what you'll be doing for most of your playtime. With hundreds of years of life and experience to unpack, Swansong is dense with lore and spoken dialogue. The other side of the gameplay equation is environment exploration. When you aren't engaging in tense stare-downs, you'll be looking for clues across the locations you're sent to. Combing through closets and drawers, searching through books, and wading through the viscera of leftover conflicts is your lot in this life. There are also puzzles scattered across the game that you'll need to solve to progress, so pay attention to what you're looking at, because clues can be very easy to miss. The developers have also added some variety with light platforming, a navigation sequence, and a stealth sequence in the late game that should have been left on the cutting room floor. As a supernatural being, you'll have some abilities at your disposal to make your investigations easier. Your abilities are governed by willpower and hunger. Willpower depletes with specific ability usages, while your hunger increases with others. Willpower can be replenished in confrontations or through items, while hunger can be satiated through feeding on hapless mortals around you in specific safe areas. Drain too much from someone and they can die though. Keeping these 2 bars in check is of paramount importance, and your plans can go spectacularly off the rails just when you least expect them to. Since this isn't an action game, when some does happen, it's usually as a cutscene with quick prompts for specific actions. Confrontations are the game's battles, which are conversations putting your silver tongue and abilities against someone else's. You're allowed a specific amount of losses, but it's usually in these moments and conversations that your vampiric abilities get the most use. You can try to dominate or confuse your conversation target with your skill list and background dice rolls, determining your success. Thankfully, in these instances, the developers have made sure that there's some leeway to progress with successful options that won't require you to use your abilities. There are moments when you can use their more fantastic abilities in the world, such as teleport jumps, camouflage, or mimicry, but the bulk of their abilities are tied into dialogue or clue scouting. Those abilities are determined by what character class you choose when first choosing your character. There are pre-built options such as detective and a choose your own path. At the end of each game's chapter, you'll see what you've accomplished and earn some XP to use in your character build. Not every option when scouring the environment will be open to you then. With limited ways to reduce hunger and restore willpower, you will have to choose what you can and can't do. Do you use 3 willpower to see a premonition or to highlight a chemtrail for you to follow in the environment? The choice is yours and opens up the game for replay value, because you can't see everything in one run. The same goes for the game's choice systems. There are small moments to make choices in, and many large ones that will affect both your progression and story down the line, including some permadeath sequences later that can end a specific character's journey early. Sometimes there are multiple outcomes to situations, and since the game autosaves, there's no way to reload and choose something else if you didn't like how things turned out. Along with the environment gameplay, this promotes a healthy interest in replaying the game or scouting an online wiki to see what you've missed or just how differently things could have gone. If you're worrying that you may need a doctorate to engage in Swansong's world, fear not, for the game is very easy to get into. The basic setup of vampires ruling high society has been done to death in entertainment, so you'll know what's going on fairly easily. There's also a codex section if you really want to delve deeper into all the lore you'll unlock as you play. Visually, Swansong is a mixed bag. The environments generally are quite lovely, with fantastic set dressing and some really high quality screen space reflections in the more opulent areas. The game fares less well with its character models and animations, however. Specifically, the three main protagonists and most of the vampires look last gen and very puppet-like, while oddly NPCs look better. If the idea was to show off the otherworldly nature of the supernatural, then the devs have succeeded, just not in the way that they intended. Another area that is a mixed bag is the voice acting. Generally, it's possible, but there are more than a few instances where the performances jump between cheesy and cringe. Often I wish that I could skip spoken sections as I read faster than the actors emote, and I found moments where it simply took too long to get anywhere, especially during a fraught, high-pressure situation waiting for a character to go through its lines with the speed of someone on a Sunday cruise who has also smoked a whole lot of pot. One major area of concern for me was the game's frequent crashes on startup on PS4. I'm not sure what the problem is, but at least 2 out of 4 attempts had the game showing up a green screen after the splash screens had rolled by before crashing to the dashboard. Both an update plus uninstalling and reinstalling resulted in the same issue. Vampire the Masquerade Swansong is an intriguing take on the Worlds of Darkness IP. The detective angle of the game acquits itself well to the franchise's tabletop stylings, providing a meaty story and enough twists and unique outcomes to the game's scenarios to warrant a replay with different character builds and options taken. Despite the crashes and the game's tendency to drag a little bit in the latter half, I would certainly like to see more of the genre in this world. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that like button, and if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. And if you got your hands on Vampire the Masquerade Swansong, please let me know what you thought of the game in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.